Hi, hello, and welcome to another interesting session on electromagnetic field theory and waves. In today's session, we'll discuss the reflection and refraction of electromagnetic waves. So, let's get started. You can see an example of an incident wave and a reflected wave. The person is clapping from here. His claps travel in the form of waves, and whenever they strike any boundary or a wall, they get reflected in the other direction. You can see the direction of the incident wave and reflected waves. So this is an example of refraction. Whenever the wave travels from one medium to the another medium, you can see the waves are bending. So this is the concept of refraction. So traveling electromagnetic waves, whenever they strike any wall or any obstacle in between, they get reflected back in the opposite direction. So one of the most important property of reflection is that the angle of incidence is equal to the angle of reflection. You can see one more example where the waves are striking any surface and they get reflected back in the opposite direction. So refraction is bending of the waves when they are passing from one medium to another medium. So this is caused by the change in the speed of the waves. If the waves are traveling slower, then the light bends towards the normal. Light, or here we can consider the electromagnetic waves also. So when the wave is traveling faster, the waves bend away from the normal. So the wavelength of the light is shorter, then the waves bend more. So we'll see when does this reflection occurs. Here we can take an example of a transmission line which is having a characteristic impedance of Z0, and the transmission line is terminated in a load impedance of ZL. So whenever both of these two impedances are same, we can say that the line is properly terminated and maximum power is transferred from the source to the load. But if Z0 is not equal to ZL, there will be a mismatch between the two impedances. Their line is not properly terminated. So in such case, part of the wave gets absorbed by the load and part of the wave is reflected back towards the source. So whenever the incident and reflected waves combine together, it gives rise to standing waves. So we have two types of incidents based on which the uniform plane wave is striking the interface or the boundary. One is the normal incidence, second is the oblique incidence. So we can analyze both of these two types of incidents at dielectric and a dielectric conductor interface. First we'll see what is the normal incidence. Whenever a uniform plane wave is striking the interface at right angle, we call it as normal incidence. So based on the properties of the two media, part of the wave will transmit into medium 2 while the other part gets reflected back into the medium 1. So this is material 1 is medium 1 and the material 2 is medium 2. We can see the components of incident wave and the reflected waves in medium 1 and the components of transmitted waves in medium 2. This is oblique incidence. So whenever a uniform plane wave strikes obliquely, that is at an angle not at 90 degrees, it can strike at any other angle. We call it as oblique incidence. So you can see example of oblique incidence here. We have medium 1 and medium 2. In medium 1, the wave is incident at the interface at an angle not at 90 degrees. It is incident in some other angle. So in medium 1, part of the wave is reflected back, and in medium 2, part of the wave is transmitted. You can see the angle of incidence and angle of reflection both are the same, but the angle of transmission is different. So we'll see the normal incidence at a dielectric interface. We'll take two dielectrics here. This is dielectric 1 and the dielectric 2. Now here these are the components of the incident wave EI and HI. EI is the incident wave component of electric field. HI is the component of magnetic field. Similarly, ER and HR are the components of reflected wave. ET and HT are the components of transmitted wave. So here we'll assume that the uniform plane wave is traveling along the z-axis. So this is the direction of z-axis and the wave is traveling along the z-axis. So the properties of dielectric 1 are epsilon 1, mu 1, sigma 1 and eta 1. In dielectric 2, these are the properties epsilon 2, mu 2, sigma 2 and eta 2. Here epsilon is the permittivity, mu is the intrinsic impedance, mu is the permeability, sigma is the conductivity and eta is the intrinsic impedance. Here EI, HI are the components of incident wave, ER, HR are the components of reflected wave, ET and HT are the components of the transmitted wave. If we take the total field in medium 1, so we'll consider it as E1. So we have incident wave and the reflected wave in medium 1. So the total electric field in medium 1 is the sum of the incident wave component and the reflected component. Similarly for the magnetic components also, H1 is equal to HI plus HR. The total field in medium 2, as we have only the transmitted wave in medium 2, so E2 is equal to ET and H2 is equal to HT. So according to the boundary conditions, the tangential components of electric field and magnetic field are continuous at the interface between two dielectrics. Therefore, we can write E1 is equal to E2 and H1 is equal to H2. So E1 is equal to EI plus ER. So in place of E1, write EI plus ER equal to ET and HI plus HR is equal to HT. So we have a relationship between electric and the magnetic component, that is eta is equal to E by H. Here eta is the intrinsic impedance of the electromagnetic wave. So from the same equation we can write H is equal to E by eta. So we can write the components of HI, HR and HT. HI is EI by eta 1, HR is ER by eta 1, HT is ET by eta 2. Just observe these terms here. EI is the incident component which is present in medium 1. So write eta 1 here. Reflected component is also present in media 1. So write eta 1 here. Transmitted component is in medium 2. So write eta 2 here. Now we'll substitute these terms in the second equation. So we get EI by eta 1 minus ER by eta 1 is equal to ET by eta 2. Simplifying this, we get EI minus ER is equal to eta 1 by eta 2 into ET. Now here this negative sign indicates that the reflected wave is traveling in the opposite direction. So we need to put a minus sign here. If we add equations 1 and 3, ER gets cancelled here. So 2EI is equal to ET into 1 plus eta 1 by eta 2 or ET into eta 1 plus eta 2 by eta 2. So the transmission coefficient, this is equal to the ratio of the transmitted component to the incident component. So transmission component is equal to ET by EI. So in the same equation, if you take EI this side and take these terms that side, we get the equation for the transmission coefficient is equal to 2 eta 2 by eta 1 plus eta 2. Next, to calculate the reflection coefficient, it is the ratio of reflected component to the incident component. So ER by EI. From the previous equations, if you eliminate ET and simplify, we get the equation for the reflection coefficient as ER by EI, which is equal to eta 2 minus eta 1 by eta 2 plus eta 1. So this is the expression for the reflection component. So these are some of the applications of reflection and refraction. So we can observe this in lenses, in converging and diverging lenses. You can see some more applications. So these are some of the applications of reflection and refraction. I hope I am clear. Thank you.